And we are fighting for that.
We do, but we are not going to get agreement when we keep insulting people. When we have allies and partners, we should try and work with them, not insult them. And I find your rhetoric insulting to the people in my state who are working so hard to try and ensure that they can do business.
You go Jean Shaheen, and she's got an exceptional point here, and it's something that I have said on this show. It's not necessarily, and we have to be honest about certain things, it's not necessarily that there has been a difference between Biden and Trump on many policies regarding the U.S.-Canada border and trade. Whether it's the library in Stansted, like there's a lot of continuity between what the Biden administration was going to do if they got a second term versus what Trump did as he took over, the Trump administration did. There's actually some continuity between Biden and Trump when it comes to forceful issues on USMCA, and they brought up dairy and that kind of stuff. The difference is that the Trump administration has been complete jerks about it. And how do you get someone to the table and want to talk to you when you disparage them in that way? So those are really good points. Something that's unsaid, and I'm going to say it here. I'm someone that I love New Hampshire. Boy, do I love the live free or die state. It's about no sales tax. Oh my God, you're talking to me. But why have I not gone? Like I used to go to New Hampshire, like every year was a must do was go to New Hampshire. I got to be very honest. The cost of traveling to places like New Hampshire, you look at the pricing overnight for you want to get a hotel room, you want to get an Airbnb. It's now $350, $400 US a night. There is something else happening here when it comes to US-Canada cross-border travel that has to do with cost and Canada not keeping up on income in the same way the U.S. has. Because prices have gone up in the U.S., but incomes have risen in the U.S. in a way that has not followed suit in Canada. Another thing that's another part of Canadians eschewing going to the U.S. When we return from New Hampshire, we go to the moon. And we take a look at ice on the moon. Because if we're going to have a future on the moon, there needs to be lots and lots of ice. Is it there? We're going to talk to a leading expert on that front when we return. Let's do traffic. 1017. Traffic brought to you by Weizmann Toyota Laval, the single largest dealership group with only one brand. When you're selling Toyota, you don't really need any other brands. And with a look at the roads, here's Debbie Marcellos.
It's a pretty light drive now, all clear in from the South Shore and in from Laval. On the Laurentian south to board the Metropolitan, it slows at Henry Bourassa, but Met West is just busy from Lacadie into Décarie, eastbound side of the Tecan to board Décarie South, backing up at Côte de Liesse. And southbound Décarie opens up after Jean Talon, 13 south to board the 20, slowing at Hickmore, but no problems on 20 east or west through Lachine. Shop the Canadian Tire Spring Big Red Sale. Save up to 50% on this season's must-haves from April 23rd to 30th. Exclusions apply. Details online. Let us know what you see on the roads. Call in your tips to Star 800. Your next report at 10:30.
I'm Aaron Rand, and coming up on Montreal Now, a new study shows sexual misconduct being committed by doctors is a troubling issue that remains deeply underreported. What to be done? That story at 3:20. And they booked a cruise to Bermuda, but got rerouted by their cruise ship line to the equally sunny and warm St. John, New Brunswick. The couple behind the story joins us at 3:05. Montreal Now, weekdays 2 to 6 with me, Aaron Rand, here on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Red Tag Days are back. Get the best of both worlds with the Prius plug-in hybrid. Drive up to 962 kilometers on a full charge and a full tank of gas. And take advantage of a 50% increase in EV range. Plus, enjoy responsive handling powered by 220 horsepower. Trust 25 years of electrified vehicle expertise. Get up to $8,000 in government rebates and customer incentives. Now during Red Tag Days. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Quebec Toyota dealer for full details.
Experience joyful retirement living at Chartwell. Drop into your local Chartwell residence during their open house, April 24th and 25th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come see what life could feel like for you or a loved one. Visit chartwell.com today.
From April 16th to 29th at Chico, our flyer is overflowing with promotions like $10 off selected Hill's Science Diet dry food for cats and 25% off selected oven-baked tradition treats of the month for dogs and cats. Chico, the favorite store of all our local pets.
It's the biggest event of the year, Matelas Dauphin's Super Warehouse Sale. Treat yourself to a Dauphin mattress at the lowest price of the year. Get 50% off and more on all sizes of ultra-comfortable Infinity mattresses, like the queen size, now specially priced at $599. Many more exceptional deals in store. Matelas Dauphin's Super Warehouse Sale, only once a year. Come take advantage.
Let's see. If I move the snowblower into the bathroom, move the skis and Christmas decorations into the dining room, will that give me room for the lawnmower and kids' bikes?
Depodium Mini Entrepot. Try 4 weeks free. Details at depodium.com.
At Carousel, we can package anything.
Really? How about potatoes?
Packaged.
Tomatoes?
Packaged.
Chicken strips?
Packaged.
Lunch for Susie?
Packaged.
Even sushi?
Packaged.
Tools?
Packaged.
Furniture?
Packaged.
Bricks?
Packaged.
Candlestick?
Packaged.
Kitchen sink?
Packaged.
The moon?
Packaged? No.
Oh.
At Carousel, we can package anything, or almost. In fact, we've got thousands of packaging solutions. We also have the equipment you need, and it's all online at carousel.ca.
Life moves fast. Your insurance should keep up. At Aharonson, we do things differently. As independent brokers, we compare multiple insurers to find coverage that truly fits your needs, your lifestyle, and your budget. And we make it easy with service in 4 languages. Home, auto, or business, we take the time to get it right. Call 514-881-8885 or visit assurance-simon.com. Aharonson, insurance done right.
When the time comes to choose a Kia, never compromise on quality. Lease or buy your new Kia from Spinelli Kia.
Start spring with Spinelli Kia. Drive into the season with a 2026 Niro EV Wind from $93 weekly on a 60-month lease at 4.49% with $0 down payment. A fresh way to go electric from $39,987, including a 1% Kia loyalty rate reduction and $9,000 in combined savings.
Spinelli Kia, the address of choice for all automotive services.
The latest news.
The new routes will take commuters to the REM stations.
Stay informed.
There are also 5 new faces in Frichette's cabinet.
Watch CTV News Montreal at 5, 6, and 11:30. Also on ctvnews.ca and Crave.
Time is valuable. Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Macco Show on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Imagine, if you will, craters so cold and dark they've been stockpiling ice since before the dinosaurs roamed the earth. That's the moon. And a brand new discovery is shaking up plans for missions like we saw with Artemis 2. Researchers from the Weizmann Institute of Science, together with collaborators in the United States, have uncovered new scientific evidence showing that ice has been gradually accumulating on the moon's poles for at least 1.5 billion years. Their new study, just published in Nature Astronomy, identifies ancient cold traps on the lunar surface, and this could mean a lot for future lunar missions. Let's go to Oded Aharonson, a professor of planetary science at the Weizmann Institute of Science. Mr. Aharonson, Oded, welcome to the program.
What a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Well, tell our listeners why this matters so much. Why should we here on planet Earth care that there's lots of ice on the moon?
Right. Well, you know, humanity, I think, is destined to get back to the moon. And there is an effort now going on both from the United States and from China, maybe a mini space race heating up again about going back to the moon. But the difference between how things are getting done now and how they were done in the Apollo days is it seems like people are going this time to stay. They're not going to just take a selfie and come back home. So the NASA and other space agencies are interested in establishing residency, if you will, near the South Pole of the moon. The South Pole is a place where in some locations there's permanent sunlight, and in some location, as you had said, there's permanent shadow where the ice accumulates. So if we're going to go to the moon, we better have access to resources like water to drink and water to separate into hydrogen and oxygen, which are rocket fuel, and maybe water to use to grow our crops. If we're going to have long-term human presence on the moon, we better have local resources.
Is it fair to say if there wasn't ice, if there wasn't water on the moon, that we'd have to cancel all our plans, or at least it would make it so much more difficult?
It would make it a lot harder, yeah, because we'd have to carry all this stuff with us, right? Water is probably the heaviest component of the human requirement. So yeah, we would have to bring it all with us. And now there's actually hope of mining it locally.
It's a hassle to schlep a case of water bottles from Costco. Just imagine bringing it up to the moon. Okay, go ahead. Let's talk about I'd heard before. Oh yeah, there's ice on the moon. I'd heard this before, but what's so spectacular new about these latest discoveries?
Right. Well, yeah, thanks for taking a moment to understand that, because as you had said, people had known that there'd been ice on the moon for a little bit now. First, it was predicted theoretically, and then it was actually found when NASA crashed a spacecraft intentionally into the moon with another chaser spacecraft behind it that measured the plume that came out. So we knew the water was there. But what's new now in the study that we published is that we know that ice is concentrated in these permanently shadowed craters, but what we didn't know is how long it's been accumulating there. And what we've been able to show is that the places that have been in permanent shadow the longest have more ice observationally than the places that have only come into shadow, let's say 1 million years ago or 10 million years ago. So that, first of all, constrains where the ice could have come from. It couldn't have come from some stray comet that may have hit the moon once or maybe two of those. It must have been accumulating gradually over that time scale, 1 billion and a half years, slowly growing with time. And there are other sources of ice that are more gradual, like the solar wind, like maybe smaller comets and meteorites that hit the moon. So now we have a better idea of where it came from, and B, a better prediction of where the places are that have harbored the most ice.
Does that mean that water's a renewable resource on the moon? Like there will be more of it to come?
Yeah, so it means that, first of all, the resource that's there is actually much, much larger than anything we foresee needing. It's like asking if the ocean is a renewable resource. There's a lot more of it there than we actually need in the immediate future. But over very long timescales, sure, it must be rejuvenating.
And, you mentioned off the top mini space race, and we've had other guests on the show recently to talk about United States versus China, a race to get there, 2030, you name it, right? But I wonder, a question I asked a previous guest, is the moon big enough for both the U.S. and China? Because there's this resource.
I think the question is whether our egos are big enough to fit in that. So I think that's really what it's about. I think there's enough real estate, for enough to go around. I don't think that's a concern. There are even rules, just, if we want to be humorous about it, nobody's allowed to land anywhere near the Apollo landing sites. Those are considered heritage sites that nobody's allowed to get close to, not even the US, by the way. So I don't think it's really a question of real estate. I think it's more a question of everybody wants to be first to establish a lunar colony or a lunar base. And everybody wants the technology that is needed in order to do that.
All right, we're with Oded Aharonson, a professor of planetary science at the Weizmann Institute of Science. We're talking about ice on the moon. Let's talk, obviously, ice turns into water. You can drink it. That's great if you want to stay on the moon and have a permanent presence. I also want to talk about how this enables us to go to other places, refueling rockets, that kind of thing. Let's dive into that.
Okay. If you don't mind, I want to take a detour. I'm actually sitting here in Windsor Castle in England right now, talking to you from Windsor Castle. No joking.
Wow.
And there's a lovely connection that actually also relates to the question that you asked, which is, Windsor Castle has all sorts of connection to the moon. There's like amateur astronomy that goes on from here. There are many pictures of the moon that have been taken from here. And William Herschel, who actually lived just very close to here. William Herschel, one of the most famous astronomers. There's Herschel crater on the moon, and he and his son, who was also an astronomer, I think his name was John, loved to observe the moon and to imagine all sorts of things on the moon. So, for instance, William was studying the volcanoes on the moon, and he had seen bright spots on the surface of the moon, which he claimed were volcanoes. Now, Artemis 2 just flew around the moon, and it detected just very, very faint bright spots near the limb of the moon that some people are talking about now. Scientists are trying to understand and explain. Nobody yet has understood really what they were. William Herschel imagined that these were volcanoes actually erupting on the moon, which of course wasn't true. But then that led to him having a reputation for the moon being this active place with canals maybe, or with even forests. And there were a set of newspaper articles published, satirical articles, that had pretended that John Herschel, his son, actually found life on the moon. So there was this whole fantastical story that came out in the news. And all this happened right around here in England. They lived in Slough, by the way, which is just nearby here. Now, I wanted to tell you the story because it was called the Great, I need to remember this name, the Great Moon Hoax of 1835. So this is when, everybody was led to believe that there is life on the moon. If I get back to your question, we had this kind of dream of finding life on the moon, on Mars, and Herschel was fascinated by this. And even today, humanity is still very much hot on the trail of finding life on the moon and Mars. But I think it's much more likely that we'll establish our own residency there, as we said before, by building a colony and sending humans to the moon. Then we're going to find these crazy things that these guys had imagined. And you ask about rocket fuel. If we're going to go to the moon, we also need a way to get back. So to launch a spacecraft from the moon, you need fuel. And the best source for fuel that's easiest to make on the moon is by separating H2O, water, into hydrogen and oxygen. And, that's a great propellant. The oxygen is an oxidant, so you can burn the hydrogen off and relaunch the spacecraft from the moon. I imagine that the first mission to the moon, Artemis 3 at the end is not going to land, but Artemis 4 is expected to land and to relaunch back from the moon to bring the people back. I imagine they'll bring all the fuel they need with them. But shortly after that, I think people could establish sites on the moon where they mine the local water, extract it from underground. As we said, there's many, many thousands of kilograms of it there.
And using
solar energy.
Using
solar energy to separate it to its constituents and then use that to get back. And you'd probably do that before you sent the first person there so that you'd have a fuel tank waiting for you when you got there.
The future is certainly exciting. Please say hi to King Charles, and I thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure.
That's Oded Aharonson, Professor of Planetary Science at the Weizmann Institute of Science.
This May, iHeartRadio celebrates Asian Heritage Month. Discover powerful stories, vibrant cultures, and unforgettable music. From inspiring podcasts to playlists that span East, South, Southeast, and West Asian artists. We're honoring the voices shaping our world. Listen now on the free iHeartRadio app. And at iHeartRadio.ca.